for centuries. The planet Rhinosphore had only one name on every galactic star map: Hellworld. Its name wasn't an exaggeration, it was a warning. Ships that passed too close often returned damaged, their hulls scarred as if something had clawed at them. Most didn't even make it back. Those who dared to land, scientists, adventurers, or desperate criminals, never sent a single message home. The air itself was poison. The storms were not just violent, they were intelligent, twisting, mid-course to hunt whatever dared to trespass. Lightning was said to be so hot it could melt armor in seconds. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the energy readings. Strange pulses came from deep beneath the surface, as if the planet itself was breathing or thinking. The Galactic Council had marked it in bright red on the navigation charts. Do not approach, and yet, one day the Council made an announcement that shocked the galaxy. A massive reward, enough to buy an entire fleet, for any crew who could survive on Rhinosphore for 1 month and return with proof. The offer stood for years. Every alien species refused. Reno's bounty became a joke among traders. Would be foolish enough to try, only one species signed up: humans. The council chamber was silent when the application was read aloud. The alien delegates didn't believe it at first. When they did, they laughed. Humans, one scaled ambassador chuckled. The same species that needed heated suits to survive a minor frost moon. Another, a tall insectoid diplomat, clicked its mandibles. They will last less than a day, perhaps 2. The storms will peel their metal ships apart like paper. The laughter grew louder. The humans didn't answer. They simply prepared. The expedition was led by Captain Mara Ellison. In the Alliance, she was famous for one thing: never turning back. She had once led a rescue through a collapsing asteroid field when every other captain refused. Her crew called her stubborn. Her enemies called her dangerous. Now, she stood in the docking bay of the HSS Valiant, watching the final supplies being loaded. Her crew was a mixed scientist eager to study the impossible. Engineers ready to face the unknown, and soldiers carrying weapons designed for monsters no one had seen before. Her first officer, Lieutenant Ramos, glanced at her as the final hatch sealed. "You really think we can survive a month down there?" Mara's eyes stayed on the dark expanse of space. "We're not going there to survive," she said. "We're going there to win." 2 weeks later, the Valiant approached Rhinosphore. It was unlike any planet the crew had seen. From orbit, the entire surface was covered in endless storms, swirling black clouds lit by constant lightning. Through the gaps, they saw jagged mountains and boiling seas. "Captain," the science officer reported, his voice tight, "I'm getting movement readings across the whole surface." "Movement? You mean weather systems?" Mara asked. He shook his head slowly. "No, ma'am. The ground is moving." As the ship descended through the atmosphere, the shadows appeared. At first, the crew thought they were tricks of the lightning, shapes moving across the clouds. But then one passed close to the viewing deck, and even the veterans went silent. It was huge. It's too big for the human mind to process in one glance. A shape that wasn't quite solid, shifting between cloud and flesh. Before anyone could react, alarms blared. "Captain, we're detecting signals, not natural ones." Coming from beneath the surface, Mara leaned forward. "Coordinates. Everywhere," the officer said. "It's like the whole planet is talking." The storm thickened around them as they neared their landing site. Lightning struck dangerously close, rattling the hull. But the Valiant's reinforced shields held. "Landing thrusters now," Mara ordered. The ship's legs extended, touching down on the cracked black surface. The noise of the wind was deafening, even through the hull. "Shields stable," Ramos reported. "We're secure." For a moment, it seemed like the mission's first step was a success. Then the floor shuddered. It wasn't an earthquake. The movement was rhythmic, slow, and deep, like the thump of a giant heartbeat. Mara's eyes narrowed. "Is that breathing?" The ground beneath the ship shifted again, a long, rolling motion, like something beneath the surface had just turned over in its sleep. In the silence that followed, the crew felt it. The planet knew they had arrived. The ground that hunted. Back the crew of the HSS Valiant stood frozen in the landing bay, listening to the sound beneath them. It was faint, but it was there. A deep, steady pulse rising through the metal floor, like a heartbeat. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Finally, Lieutenant Ramos broke the silence. "Captain, that's not the wind." "No," Mara Ellison said quietly, eyes scanning the monitors. "That's the planet." The wind outside screamed, hurling black dust against the shields. The sensors fought to get clear readings through the storm. Every display showed the same thing. The ground beneath them wasn't solid at all. It was shifting in slow, strange patterns. "Atmosphere scan complete," the science officer announced. "Air is toxic. Breathing unprotected will cause nerve damage in minutes. We'll need full environment suits outside." "Copy that," Mara said. "Team Alpha, suit up. We're going to set up the shield dome before the storm eats our ship." Within minutes, 6 humans stepped onto the surface of Rhinos 4. The black ground crunched under their boots like broken glass. The air shimmered with strange heat waves, even though the temperature read freezing cold. Lightning flashed somewhere, far off, but the sound rolled across the land like a living growl. Dr. Keller, the lead scientist, knelt to take a sample of the soil. He expected rock and ash. Instead, his tools reported something else entirely. This isn't dirt," he said slowly. Amara walked over. "Explain." "It's organic," Keller said. "Every grain is made of tiny structures. Not quite cells, not quite machines, but alive." Ramos gave a sharp laugh. "You mean we're standing on a living carpet?" Keller didn't answer. He just looked at the ground with a mix of fear and fascination. They worked fast to set up the portable shield dome, a shimmering barrier designed to protect them from storms and radiation. The equipment hummed to life, surrounding the ship and the humans with a faint blue glow. For a brief moment, the storm outside felt distant, safe. Then came the scream. It cut through the wind, sharp and high, echoing from somewhere in the darkness. It wasn't human. It wasn't even close. Ramos's hand went to his weapon. "What the hell was that?" "Not sure," Mara said. But it sounded close. The scream came again, this time lower, drawn out, almost like something was calling to them. The crew froze, listening. Then, slowly, the sound faded into the storm. "Probably the wind," one of the soldiers muttered. But no one really believed. That hours passed as they set up equipment inside the dome. The air filters hummed, the power generators pulsed, and the science team began scanning for the strange energy signals they detected from orbit. "Still there," Keller said, tapping the screen. "It's multiple sources. Underground, far deeper than we can drill." Mara studied the readings. "And you're sure it's not natural?" He shook his head. "Natural things don't broadcast in perfect frequency intervals." Before she could answer, the ground rippled. Not shook, rippled like water when a stone is dropped. The motion traveled from one side of the dome to the other, passing directly beneath their feet. The crew exchanged alarmed glances. Captain Ramos said slowly, "It's moving again." Dr. Keller's face went pale as he checked his instruments. "It's not just moving, it's reacting. Every time we set down equipment, the ground pulses back, like it's aware of us." Mara's jaw tightened. "Then it knows we're here." Night fell. The storms outside glowed faintly with flashes of blue lightning, giving the sky an otherworldly shimmer. Inside the dome, the crew tried to rest, but no one really slept. At 3 o'clock ship time, the sensors beeped. Motion, large, fast-moving. Toward the dome from the east. "Everyone up," Mara ordered. They stood at the shield edge, staring into the darkness. The wind whipped dust and ash, but between flashes of lightning. Something moved. Tall, thin, wrong. For a split second, a flash revealed its shape, a towering silhouette, eyes glowing faint red, body vanishing back into the storm. Life form detected, the AI announced coldly. Size unknown. Distance 70 meters. It didn't come closer. It just stood out there watching them through the haze. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it turned and vanished into the darkness. What the hell was that? Ramos asked, his voice low. Mara didn't take her eyes off the storm. Something that doesn't want us here. Keller's voice trembled. It's not just the ground, Captain. The planet's not alive. He swallowed hard. It's hunting us. Cliffhanger. Outside, unseen by the crew. The ground began to shift again, but this time the ripple didn't pass under the dome, circled it. The storm outside never stopped. It howled around the shield dome, rattling the metal supports like an angry beast. But inside, it was too quiet. The crew of the HSS Valiant stayed close to the scanners. The red-eyed figure had appeared once, in the night, and then simply vanished. No one liked that. At 4:12 ship time, the sensors beeped again. The AI's voice was calm, almost bored. Motion detected. Multiple sources, approaching from all directions. Lieutenant Ramos grabbed his rifle. Before anyone could reply, lightning split the sky, and the crew saw them. Shadows, dozens of them. Some were tall, and thin, others hunched and crawling. But they all moved in the same way, slow, deliberate, as if they were in no hurry to attack. The shield dome flickered as dust and debris hit it hard. They're testing it, Dr. Keller whispered. They're trying to see how strong it is. Mara Ellison stood at the edge of the barrier, watching the nearest shadow. It stopped just outside the dome, head tilted slightly, like it was studying her. The next flash of lightning revealed its face, and every crew member who saw it felt their stomach twist. It wasn't an animal, wasn't even truly alien in the way most expected. It looked predatory, skin stretched tight over a skull-like head, mouth lined with needle teeth. But its eyes, those red, glowing eyes, were far too intelligent. And then the voice came, not through ears, through minds. Trespassers. The words slammed into their thoughts like a hammer. A deep, echoing sound that was more felt than heard. Ramos staggered back. Did you hear you should not be here? Every crew member froze. Dr. Keller's hands shook as he gripped his scanner. It's communicating telepathically. Direct neural intrusion. No translation. Tech. Mara forced her voice to stay calm. Who are you? The red-eyed figure didn't move. Okay. But the answer came, a low rumble in their minds. I am the Guardian. All who come here are prey. The words pressed against their thoughts like cold hands. The feeling was invasive, almost painful. Mara stepped forward, her voice hard. We're not prey. We came for knowledge. Knowledge costs. And what do you want as payment? She asked. The figure's head tilted again. When it spoke, the thought was sharp, almost hungry. Your lives? The storm roared louder, lightning tearing across the sky. The shadows outside moved in closer, pacing around the dome like wolves. Circling a fire, the AI beeped. Unidentified signal located deep below the surface. Coordinates marked. Dr. Keller glanced at the screen. Captain, that's it. That's the source of the strange energy pulses we've been tracking since orbit. The Guardian's voice pressed into their minds again. Leave. Or follow. Either way, you belong to me. And with that, the red-eyed shape dissolved back into the storm. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the sound of the wind and the quiet hum of the shield filled the air. Finally, Ramos said what they were all thinking. Captain, if that thing invites us to follow, that can't be good. Mara studied the coordinates on the map. The location was far deep in the southern storm belts, inside an area where the wind speeds reached lethal levels. She looked at her crew. We came here for answers. And it's clear we won't get them sitting inside this dome. Do you want to go after it? Ramos asked, incredulous. I want to find out what's beneath this planet's surface. Mara said, "That thing, whatever it is leading us to it. And if it thinks we're prey, we'll just have to prove it wrong." The team prepared for departure. Their Land Rover, a heavy six-wheeled machine built for extreme terrain, was reinforced with shield projectors and mounted plasma turrets. As they rolled out of the dome and into the storm, the ground rippled again. This time, it wasn't a single wave. It was many coming from all sides, converging toward their position. Dr. Keller's readings spiked. "Captain, the microorganic soil is active again. It's following us." Ramos glanced through the storm. "We've got bigger problems. Incoming shapes. 10 o'clock. Through the haze, red eyes flared, then more. Then dozens. More. They sped across the black terrain, lightning striking dangerously close. The rover's shields flared each time, draining power. Over the roar of the storm, the Guardian's voice entered their minds again. "Come faster! The planet wakes." "What does that mean?" Keller demanded. The answer came like a whisper made of stone. "She does not like visitors." Cliffhanger. The storm abruptly stopped. The silence was instant and unnatural. The clouds opened, revealing a vast black canyon stretching into the distance. And at the far end, something pulsing with red light. The rover rolled to a stop at the edge of the canyon. No wind, no lightning, no sound. It was unnatural, like someone had pressed pause on the planet's fury. The silence felt heavy, as if the air itself was holding its breath. The canyon stretched 4 kilometers in both directions, its walls black and smooth. Glistening in the dim light, the red glow at the far end pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Captain Mara Ellison stepped out first, her boots crunching against the strange glassy ground. The moment her foot touched it, the surface shifted. Not enough to knock her over, but enough to make every muscle in her body tense. "This isn't rock," Dr. Keller said, kneeling for a scan. "It's tissue." Ramos swore under his breath. "We're standing inside something alive, aren't we?" Keller didn't answer. He didn't need to. The slow pulse beneath their boots gave them the answer. The Guardian's voice slid into their minds again, deep and cold. "This is the way in." "Into what?" Mara asked aloud. "Her." The word carried a strange weight. "Who's her?" Ramos asked, scanning the canyon walls nervously. "The one who owns this world." The team moved forward on foot, the rover following slowly behind. The walls of the canyon began to curve inward as they walked, and the air grew warmer, damp, with a faint metallic smell. Every few meters, the ground flexed under them, almost like it was breathing. The pulse, in the distance, grew stronger, lighting the walls with a faint red hue. The deeper they went, the more the walls changed. They weren't just smooth anymore. They had ridges, veins, and strange patterns that almost looked like scars. Ramos ran a hand along one. "Feels like skin. Thick skin." Keller shivered. "I don't think we're in a canyon. I think we're in a vein. A giant one." Half an hour in, they reached a chamber where the canyon widened into a vast circular space. The walls here moved, slow contractions, like the muscles of some great beast. Pools of thick, dark liquid collected in shallow pits. The smell was sharp and acidic. "Keep your suits sealed," Mara ordered. "No one touches anything." The sound of their own breathing filled their helmets until a ripple passed along the walls. Then another. And then they heard it, a slow, deep thump. Thump, the same rhythm they'd heard under the ship. As they moved deeper, they found the remains of something not human, but clearly a ship. Its hull was cracked, the metal half dissolved as if eaten by acid. Bones lay scattered nearby, bleached white and brittle. Keller scanned one, not recent. Hundreds of years old. "Looks like one of the early Council exploration crews. Guess they didn't get the welcome tour we did," Ramos muttered. The path narrowed again, becoming more like a tunnel. The walls pressed closer, warm to the touch through their gloves. Every sound seemed louder now. Their footsteps, the faint creak of their gear, and the constant rhythmic thump of whatever lay ahead. Captain Keller said, checking his scanner, "We're close. The signal is coming from just beyond this tunnel. It's powerful. I've never seen readings like this." The Guardian's voice returned, softer this time. "She is waiting." They stepped out of the tunnel into a massive underground chamber. The first thing they saw was light, a deep red glow that filled the space, coming from a single, massive object in the center. It was shaped like a heart. It's not a human heart. This one was the size of a building, with veins thicker than tree trunks spreading out in all directions. Each beat sent a shudder through the ground, and every pulse sent a wave of red light. Crawling along the chamber walls, Keller's scanner beeped wildly. This is it. This is the source of the signals. The heart is broadcasting. Mara took a step forward, staring at it. Broadcasting what? The answer came not from Keller, but from inside their heads. Life and death. The ground trembled. From the far side of the chamber, a shape emerged, tall, thin, with eyes, glowing like coals in the darkness. The Guardian. It stepped closer, its voice pressing into their minds. "She wants to know why you came." Mara stood her ground. "Tell her. We came to understand. Understanding costs. What's the price?" she asked. The Guardian's head tilted slowly. "Your place. In her body forever." The walls closed in. Not fast enough to crush them, but enough for the crew to feel the pressure like the chamber itself was breathing them in. So the pulse of the massive heart grew faster, each beat shaking the ground beneath their boots. Thump, thump. Captain Mara Ellison raised her rifle, even though she knew firing at a living planet was pointless. "Back toward the tunnel," she ordered. The Guardian moved to block their path. Its tall, skeletal frame was almost lost in the red glow of the heart. Its eyes burned brighter now. "She knows your kind." The voice stabbed into their thoughts. Others came, they took, they wounded her. Dr. Keller glanced at the heart, then at the strange ridges along the walls. "I think the scars we saw in the canyon weren't natural. Something attacked her." Mara frowned. "Who?" Before the Guardian could answer, Keller's scanner beeped sharply. "Captain, detecting technology. Alien, not part of the planet." They followed the readings to the base of the heart. There, half buried in living tissue, were machines, ancient, corroded, but still active. Long, spindly devices surrounded the heart like a cage, each one humming faintly. "What are those?" Ramos asked. Keller knelt, brushing away layers of black dust. "Some kind of suppression field." "These aren't hers. They're holding her back, weakening her." "By who?" Keller's face darkened. "Judging by the design, an old galactic species, one that's been extinct for centuries." The Guardian's voice was suddenly sharper. "They came with greed. She destroyed them. But their wounds remain." Mara turned toward it. "You're saying if we remove these machines, she'll heal?" "Yes, and she will remember who freed her." Ramos glanced between them. "Captain, this thing eats explorers for breakfast, and you're talking about helping it?" Mara's eyes narrowed. "If those machines are broadcasting, that could explain the strange signals. And if they're hurting her, maybe that's why she lashes out at anything that lands here." Keller swallowed. "It's possible. But if we shut them down, we have no idea what she'll do next." The heart's glow pulsed brighter, almost like it was listening. Then a new voice entered their minds, softer, deeper, and far more ancient. "Free me." The crew froze. It wasn't the Guardian this time. It was her. The voice was vast, layered, echoing from every direction. Felt like standing in the tide of a great ocean, something impossibly big brushing against the edges of their minds. "Free me and leave. O.R. Stay forever." The heart beat faster and the walls contracted, again pushing them closer to the alien machines. Keller quickly examined one of the devices. "Okay, I can disable them. But once we do, the suppression field will drop instantly." "She's hostile? She already is," Ramos muttered. We're just lucky she hasn't swallowed us whole. Yet, Mara stepped forward. Do it. The first machine died with a sharp hiss, its lights fading to black. Instantly, the heartbeat grew louder, and the floor under them pulsed with more force. The Guardian tilted its head, watching in silence. One by one, the crew shut down the rest of the devices. With each one disabled, the glow from the heart deepened, turning from red to a fierce, living crimson. When the last machine went dark, the change was immediate. The walls stopped contracting. The air grew warmer. The pulse steadied into a slow, powerful rhythm. And then, silence. The Guardian stepped forward, its eyes dimmer now. She thanks you. The ancient voice returned, almost like a whisper through their bones. You are the first to give, not take. Keller looked at Mara. I think she's letting us go. But before anyone could relax, the voice continued. I have a gift. The ground beneath them shifted, but this time it wasn't violent. Path opened in the floor, leading to a tunnel filled with faint golden light. Follow, the voice said. See the world nigh one has seen? They moved through the tunnel, emerging into an open space far above the surface. The storms were gone. The sky was a deep, alien blue. Oceans shimmered in the distance, and mountains of crystal rose from the ground, like jagged teeth. Ramos blinked in disbelief. It's beautiful. Keller's voice was hushed. No one in the galaxy knows this exists. The storms must have been her defense. She hides all this. Mara smiled faintly. Not from us anymore. The Guardian appeared one last time, standing at the edge of the cliff. Leave now, she will sleep again. But if you return with greed, she will remember. Mara nodded. Message received. Cliffhanger. As the crew boarded the rover to return to the Valiant, the ancient voice echoed one final time. Others come. They will not be like you. Mara's expression hardened. Then they'll have to go through us first. The storm was gone. The sky above Rhenos 4 was clear for the first time in centuries. The humans stood on the cracked, steaming ground, breathing through their masks. Around them, the living structures of the planet pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat slowing down. Captain Mara looked at her team. It's over, she said quietly. But in truth, no one was sure. What over meant? The voice came again, deep, echoing, like the ground itself was speaking. You are different. The team froze. It wasn't coming through the radio, was in their heads. Dr. Reeves swallowed hard. The planet, it's talking too. Us others came. They took. They destroyed. I rejected them. The ground rumbled faintly beneath their boots. You came, you helped, you healed me. Mara took a slow step forward. We didn't come here to conquer. We came to survive. And survive. You did. A long silence followed, the air trembling as if the world itself was thinking. Stay or go. I will not harm you. The team exchanged glances. This was the first time in recorded history that Rhenos 4 had not killed intruders. Reeves whispered, It's giving us a choice. Mara turned toward the horizon, where the storms used to rage. We came for a month, she said, but maybe we can make this a home. Back at the Galactic Council, chaos erupted. When news arrived, not only had the humans survived the Hell World, they had made peace with it. Some alien leaders called it impossible. Others called it a trick. But one thing was certain. The humans had done what no species dared to. Attempt. Weeks later, a permanent human research outpost was built on Rhenos 4. The planet no longer fought them. The storms calmed when they worked. The ground shifted to open tunnels and shelters for them. It was as if the Hell World had chosen them. Mara stood at the edge of a cliff one evening, watching the twin suns set. She thought about the ones who came before, the explorers who never returned. The difference wasn't strength alone. It wasn't weapons. It was that humans knew how. to adapt, and how to earn trust even from a world that hated all life. Far away in the galaxy, Rhinosphore's name remained red on most maps. But now, next to that red mark, there was a small note written in bold human territory. And for the first time in history, the Hell World had a guardian.